Hi, everyone. Welcome to our demo for this month. My name is Sam. I am the head of customer experience here at Mobble, and joining us today, we also have Maddie, who looks after all our marketing and comms at Mobble. As mentioned just a couple of moments before, if you could please add your name and where you're joining from today into the chat box, that would be really great. Thank you. It's always very interesting for us to see where all our Mobblers are joining from. So if you're not aware, Mobble was founded in 2018 by Jock Lawrence when he and his family couldn't really find a farm management software or tool to centralize and digitalize, their farm records. So since 2018, we have over 3,000 active Mobblers globally, which is incredible, in a diverse range of sectors. So cattle, sheep, mixed cropping, and quite a few other industries as well. So overall, the Mobble mission is to make our farmers' lives easier. And we hope that we can show you a little bit of how that works today. Oh, good point, Maddie. Sorry, I will preface that Jock does send his apologies. He is quite unwell today, hence why Maddie and I are stepping in. So we do apologize in advance for that and why you are seeing me on the call today. If you do have any questions at all throughout this demo, you feel free to add them to the chat box or come off mute if you would like to ask them in person. You can do that at any time, or we will have a moment at the end for question and answer. I also will preface that today I will be mostly talking in the Australian language of the app, and I will flick a little bit if we do, if I do mention ranch or categories or a few different other words that we don't hear typically, as I know that there were a few people joining us globally on this call today. So I apologize in advance if I'm using a couple of different versions of our language. We are working through localization at the moment, which is really exciting. So please bear with me and ask me to clarify if you're not quite sure what I'm talking about at any point. We do also ask during this demo that you do stay on mute, but as mentioned, if you'd like to come off to ask a question, that's totally okay. We're going to run through a bit of a product demo to start with, so we'll just be really simply going through how you can set up Mobble and get the most out of Mobble as well, and then we'll talk a little bit through our product roadmap and a little bit of an integrations update as well. So I will just share my screen with you. Please just bear with me. And I also do apologize in advance. I am a little bit run down at the moment, so if I do get a bit croaky or stop for a glass of water, apologies, but please bear with me. For this demo today, I'll just be showing you a demo farm. This is not a real working farm, so some of the data might be slightly skewed, and I do apologize, but it's just really to show you a bit of a gist on how the product works at the moment. So Mobble does have a web app, which you can now see coming through the screen, and also a mobile phone app as well. We do recommend that you use the mobile phone app when you are out in the paddock and doing your live updates, but then the web app we recommend you use for all of your reporting, but also to help set up your property as well. Our web app is also available, I should say our mobile app is available on Google, Android, and iPhone. So if you have any questions, please do let us know about that. So when you log into Mobble, this is obviously set up so it's slightly different to how you'll be logging in for the very first time, but you will open on the web app to this Mobble dashboard. As you can see here, it has our total DSE, so dry sheep equivalent, our livestock totals per head that you can see, grazable area of the property that you have mapped in Mobble, DSE per hectare, and any active tasks that you can see here. Again, I will preface that a lot of these settings are very customizable, and what you are seeing today is the Australian version. But just quickly to show you what you could do if you are in a different country. So on this left-hand menu here, you have settings. If I'm to click into here, so firstly under the profile setting, what you can see here is my language is currently English Australia. But if you are joining us from another country, what you can do is select, for example, English Canada. And if I click Save Changes, what you will see is it has updated. This left-hand menu has updated to say fields instead of paddocks and herds instead of mobs, for example. And a lot of that language will slightly change based on farming practices in those countries as well. But again, I will just be doing the Australian version for myself, just because that's what I primarily work in at the moment. The other thing as well that you can format when you open your Mobble account, you can see your stocking rate here. So at the moment, I have this set on DSE, but you can update this based on your farming or business enterprise and what you prefer. Area unit, again, hectares. If you're in another country such as the US or Canada, you may prefer to use acres. Length, again, you can update distance and then time and date formats too. So hence why my dashboard is showing currently DSE and hectares here. Obviously, that would update based on the settings that you choose for your property. Off this dashboard as well, you can see our current livestock totals. So a really nice schematic based on what's currently on your property. Just a really good visual to see what your stocking is like. And then on the right here, you'll see your historic events. So at the moment, what we currently recommend is that every one of your team members has their own login to Mobble. And you can see here when an action is made or when something is updated, it will be named by who did this. So there's a couple in here, obviously from myself. But if I scroll down here, you can see records from, Kenta here made a few updates and Jack Hurley as well did a fertilizer action and fly treatment. And that's really just to make sure that records are updated based on your farm or ranch and business overall. As you scroll down on the dashboard, you can see your rain gauge, which I will touch on in a moment as we work through the demo, and then your livestock totals as well. So your current head based on 2025 or whatever year you'd like to select. And you can also update this to DSE or DSE per hectare, whatever you would like to see here. What we recommend once you sign up for your Mobble account is you map your property first. So from this map page here, obviously, as I mentioned, this is a demo farm, so it's currently mapped, but I'll take you through what you would, the journey of how you would map your property. But essentially, once your product or your property is mapped, what you will log in and see is all your paddocks here, any mobs or assets that you do currently have on the farm. But I'll talk through what all of those things are as we go. So to map a paddock on your farm or to map your farm overall, you'll see this green plus button in the bottom right-hand corner. Select that, and then I'll click Add Paddock. It will pop open this window. And then what I can do is I can click and drag a map on the map to map out a new paddock. So click in this corner. Again, this is just for demo purposes and it isn't a real farm, so bear with me. I then double click to stop mapping that paddock. And then down the bottom here, I can click the Add Paddock button. I can select a paddock name. So for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to put Daymar. And a paddock type as well. So I can select what type of paddock this is that will show through in your records. And this is also, again, entirely customizable. So if I wanted to add in a new paddock type or a field type based on how you would like your records shown or how you farm, you can also do that too. But for the sake of this, I'm just going to put that this is a pasture paddock. You have your total area of the paddock shown here, but then you can also update your grazable area if that is of interest to you too. I then select Add New Paddock, and it will take me back to the map page, and you can see that I've just added this paddock here. The colors that you can see here are based on the type of paddock that you are adding as well. So green, because I just put that down as pasture. This paddock here, the creek paddock that currently has a red outline to it and is shaded red, that's because it's currently in a withholding period or under withdrawal based on the language you use in your country. And we will get to that in a moment, but you can add chemical applications, fertilizer applications have withholding or withdrawal periods associated with them. So it's just a really nice visual on the map so that you can see what's happening on your property. Excuse me. You can also see we have these livestock pins here in paddocks. So I can see where my mobs are at any point in time, and I can click on them and get this really nice schematic to see what that mob is. However, obviously, if you're setting up your Mobble account, you will need to add mobs. So you can do this two ways. I'll just talk you through the way off the map at the moment. So selecting this bottom right-hand plus button again, I can click Add Mob. We recommend when you're creating your Mobble account that you use this setup or other option. But obviously, the longer you have Mobble, you'll be able to do natural increase. So for adding lambs and calves, or if you're purchasing stock as well. So if I select just the setup option, I have to add them to a paddock. So if I, sorry, my search function. For example, I'll just select this Carly's paddock right now. A breed. Oh, sorry, firstly, I should say I can do cattle, sheep, goats, or other. Let's go sheep for the sake of this demo. And then I'm going to select what breed they are as well. So these breeds are auto set up at the moment. You can also add your own breed types based on what you farm, or you can, in the settings, delete the breed types out that are irrelevant to you as well. So you may only see the 3 or 4 that you currently have on your farm. So I will select Dorper. I then added age. So I'm going to say these are ewes. Oh, a gender, sorry. I'll select an age, so say they're 22, 23. Classes, in other locales, this will come up as categories, but I can have my dries if they're scan dry or my firsts. And again, you can add any class or category type based on your farming enterprise as well and what's relevant to you. This is how we recommend that you use Mobble and set it up for your own business as well. So as part of your record keeping and how you like your data to be displayed, this is what we recommend you use. And I'll get into that a little bit as we go through summaries and reports. But I will say that these are singles for the sake of this demo. And then a head count as well. So let's say 500. DSE, again, it automatically populates to 1 and you can update that if you like, or just leave it as 1 based on how you like your farming records. You then get a nice snapshot just to make sure that all your data and information is correct. And then I'll select save. This will then come up on the map and you can see that pin here as 500 in Carly's paddock. The other really cool feature about the map as well is when I select a paddock, so for example, Carly's paddock, it gives a really nice summary of this paddock at the moment. So based on this mob going in there or herd, you can see the size of the paddock, how many are in there, your DSC per hectare, your carrying capacity at the bottom here, and days grazed. So this days grazed or days rested feature is really nice feature to assist you in your grazing management. So 0 days grazed as this mob has just gone in there, and that would update overnight to then show 1 day grazed based on those records. But if I was to select another paddock like this, Katie's paddock, it has 90 days rested. So a mob or a herd hasn't been in this paddock for 90 days. You can also add assets to your map. So quite a lot of our mobblers, as we like to call it, like to use this map asset so their team members know where things are located on their farm or their ranch. So for example, here mapped, we have a bore. Down here, we have a dam or Maddie's dam. And you can really map whatever asset that you would like to see on the farm or your ranch. So again, this bottom right-hand plus button, I will select Add Map Asset. And then down the bottom here, I have the ability to add the category or the type of asset that it is. So for example, let's just say it's another dam. I can then select that location on the map. So say in this Daymar where we just put this paddock, I select what sort of appears to be a dam from here. Again, it's a demo farm. Select Add Asset. And then I have the ability to name this asset as well. So let's call it Daymar. I can add a description. So this could be like a rain-fed dam, for example, or whatever description or information you would like to add with that asset is entirely up to you, and it's not mandatory. The type of asset, again, just confirming it's the dam and then showing that on the map, but you can update or delete that location if you would like. Select Add Asset. And this will now take you back to the map again and show you that this is just where we've added that Daymar dam here. So that's a really nice overview of the map function. You can see in the top right-hand corner here, we can change the map view. So we have 5 different map views that you can select from. And based on your location, we do find that some of these are more up-to-date than others. We internally like to use the Google satellite imagery, but we do know by location these could be slightly more up-to-date in other versions. You have the ability to download your property file, which I will come back to in a moment. And you can also filter what you see on this map as well. So I can select the types of paddocks. I can select mobs as well if I would like to see just my cattle or my sheep or a specific breed within there. I can do filter just to see those on the map. And then my tasks, if I had tasks, which I'll come to, and map assets as well. I may choose to take the bore off or the dams off and show an electric fence, for example, based on what is mapped on my property. This download KML file, so you can download a visual of your map in a KML format. But also what's really nice is if you are creating a Mobble account, we can actually update a KML file for you. So if you do have this from another type of ag software or another reason why, that's totally fine. You can email that through to us at hello.mobble.io. hello@mobble.io, apologies. And we can upload that for you. But again, if you have any questions, you can also reach out to us and we can assist you in that. But that's a really nice way for us to help you onboard onto the app nice and quickly. So what you can see on the left-hand menu is, so the map here, you can also see a nice list of your paddocks as we just went through. So name, your paddock type, grazable area, total area, mobs, if there are any mobs in this in that paddock, total head, DSE and per hectare as well, based on the settings of your account, and also your days and rested counters here as well. We also have a really nice feature in Mobble where you can open gates. So for example, just flicking back to the map quickly, with this Carly's paddock mob that I just added this 500 head into here, The reality is we know that they actually might be across two paddocks based on how you like to farm. So I can select this paddock, Carly's paddock here, and I can click View Gates. So the paddock here comes up, Carly's paddock, and then I can select Open Gates. Oh, sorry, I had to do the down click. And it will just give me the paddocks or the fields close by that I could open the paddock, the gates with. So for example, if I select this front paddock here, select Open Gates, and then I go back to the map. This white border around the back here just shows that these paddocks are open together. So it's just a really nice visual to show when gates are open between different paddocks there, which is really probably a lot more representative to how we actually farm or ranch based on our location. You can see on the left-hand side on this menu here, the tasks section. This is a really nice feature that we have based on, we know that farming enterprises or ranching enterprises have quite a few team members in them as well. So you can create tasks or add tasks by location and allocate these to team members based on what's happening on your farm, or even as a gentle reminder to yourself that you maybe saw a burr that you need to go back and chip or fix a fence line. So to create a task, you select this bottom right-hand plus button again, select Add Task. For example, this task, say, fix fence. I can add a description if there is a description needed. You can add a due date if you would like to, but again, it's not required. You can assign this to a specific person if you would like to, but again, it's not mandatory. And then you can add it to a paddock overall, or you can select it on the map if you like. So for example, I'll just pop the dot here on the map between the house and the front paddock, click select, just shows that location on the map, and select and click add new task. For the sake of this, I'll just add a quick date saying it's due next Friday, the 13th, potentially unlucky for some if you are fixing a fence, and then allocate that to a specific person or a team member if you like. When I click add task, it just populates here, fix fence, and then your team member, so Carly in this example, will also get a notification that that task has been added for her. You can see this number 2 and the red dot on the menu as well, and that's just showing that there are overdue tasks on this property, which, say, for example, I went in and this fence had been fixed. I can scroll down and select mark as complete, but those red dots will say that if those tasks are outstanding and haven't been marked as complete. But it's just a really nice way to show, where things need to be done on property or to allocate tasks to your staff members as well. Some other features that we have with Mobble, so we have this property chat where you can say things that are happening on your property or your ranch if you would like to. Again, as a demo property, this is just to show you how that works. And we also have this really nice feature called inventories. So this is a really nice way to live track inventories on your property. So for example, you can add your animal health products, herbicides, pesticides, fertilizers, grain, feed, or any kind of inventory really that you like. And what I'll do is I'll just show you really quickly how you add them, but then you can also use these and show records of how these are used as well as part of your business. So for example, if I click into the feed, you can see here the type of feed on the left and then the quantity as well. And these can be added in any way that you like as well. So for example, if I'm selecting corn, I can view the item, I can add batch, or I can edit quantity. So I'll just select view for the moment. Again, you can see corn, and there's currently 50 tons on hand listed. And you can also have batches as well. So supplier's name, this came from Dawson, just as a bit of a demo. And once this is fed out, if you choose to use the Mobble features this way, you'll see a really nice visual of this being used over time, which I'll come to in a moment. So if I wanted to add a new batch of corn, for example, again, select this bottom right-hand green plus. It's automatically populating corn because that's where I am. Supplier name, I'll just type in demo for the sake of this. Quantity, say I had 65 tons delivered, but I can also update that based on the what's coming in, my units. A price per unit, if you would like to add that, you can from a record keeping perspective, the date it's received, and any notes that you would like. I then select add batch, and that will come up here under these batches here. What I then can do is if I'm in my mobs page, for example, or off the map, whichever you prefer, will show off the map. If I selected this mob that I just added today, this 500 head of views, I can click on them and then I can click add mob action. So when I'm adding a mob action, it will come up with the mob that I just used, the number of head, obviously that auto-populates based on the mob, the date, which I can backdate if you would like, an action type. So you can see here there are quite a few options and you can add your own depending on how you would like your records to look. But if I select feeding, for example, I can then choose to add product. When I add product, I'll go through a similar process to what I just showed in inventory. So feed, corn, for example, and then I can select which of the batches I would like to use. So if I select demo, I then have the ability to add the quantity per head if you are feeding on a per head ration or a total overall, and that's really entirely based on how you are feeding. So say that I was trail feeding these and I was feeding today 300 grams per head. Update my units on the right here. So kilograms, so 0.3 of a kilogram, that will automatically populate to 150 kilos based on the number of head in the mob. I can then add any notes. So for example, this could be trail fed, and then I select apply action. That will then show if I go back to the mob and select this mob quickly, and I select view mob, you can then see a record on the right here of feed action. So you can see a total history of your mob the whole way through when anything is applied to that mob, if the mob is moved to paddocks, if they are merged with another mob, for example. So you can see that from the mobs page, from that list, or from the map, and you just select that specific mob at any time. And that will automatically, when I go back into my inventories, just for example, that will automatically deduct off that inventory over time. You also have the ability to say, for example, I'd use this entire quantity of this corn. I can then also mark that as finished. And if you have multiple properties mapped on Mobble, you can also share this inventory across your properties. So it doesn't just sit within this one Mobble farm. Say I had 5 properties on here, but they were all mapped separately. I can then share this inventory across multiple properties based on however you would like your Mobble account to work. Rain gauges as well is a really nice feature to track your rain over time. So you can set up multiple rain gauges. As we know, a lot of our producers and farmers like to have multiple rain gauges across their property. So this would just show a list here of your rain gauges. For example, this house paddock gauge, we've only got one set up here. This just shows a record over time of all the rain that has been added into Mobble. So you can see the blue is 2024 and the green is 2025. And this just updates when you're adding in a record over time. If you do have historical rain records, we can also update those as well. So reach out to us again via that email address, hello@mobble.io, and we can talk to you about getting that updated if you would like to. But you can see here just a really nice snapshot summary. So year to date, about 300 mils. Month to date, obviously we've just started June and it hasn't rained much, so obviously 0. Your last reading, date and how much as well rain you had. And then on the right, just a nice history of what rain has been added. But very simply to add a rain reading, selecting this bottom right-hand plus button, and then you type in your reading amount. So say we've had 10 mils this morning and wouldn't it be nice to get a bit of rain, and select create, and that will just update here on the map. It feels like we might have found a little glitch there that we've lost 2024. Just refresh my page. Might have to, oh, there we go, just a delay. But you can just see that that's updated there in that June tab. So just a really nice way to see your rain over time, and then your averages as well with this yellow line. Summaries is another nice feature that we have where you can see everything that's been happening on your Mobble property. So you can go in and see your event log, for example. So anytime an action is created or something happens on Mobble, it will just create a record of it here for you to go and have a look at. So rain gauge, obviously the details of that, and then who did that. And it's just a really nice way to see what team members are adding what information and at what point in time, if you have a few team members on Mobble. You can also see your map assets list as well, so any assets that you are adding, and you also have the ability to search these. So for example, if I wanted to see just dams, I can just see the list of dams. And a hey shed has come up, apologies for that. Might be a little glitch in the back end, but you can download all of these records as well as we go. You can also see all your mob actions over time. So any treatment that is applied to a mob, you can see the full list, or you can also search this as well. So if I wanted to search ewes or cows and get just those specific records, and all of this can be downloaded if you need them from an audit or compliance perspective or for just your own safekeeping too. Sales records, you can add sales records in and sell a mob as you go. So a really nice way to see your records over time, and you can add in price per head or total price. And if you wanted to sell a mob, you can just do so from the mobs page. I'll just show you quickly. So selecting your mob, and you can see all the options of things you can do here. And then I could select sell mob if I wanted to. And just adding in details. So sold to is optional, total price, price per head, and weights and things are optional as well. But really just showing that you can add whatever details you would like to your Mobble information and make it as customizable to your business as you would like. Again, I'll just touch on these quickly, but you can add your purchase records, natural increase, like we spoke about before, to see a really nice record of lambing and calving if you would like. Casualties, you can also record any deaths or livestock losses throughout the year, and just your overall livestock numbers too, if you wanted to see a nice quick report of everything you have on farm, broken down by your categories or classes based on however you would like that data to be presented. On the web app, so this feature doesn't exist on the mobile app, you can see your reports page here. So showing your historic livestock over time, just a really nice visual of what your current stock is like. And then just a few quick snapshots as well. Your livestock totals, if you've sold any, had any casualties, purchased, and natural increases as well. And here in your livestock reconciliation report, you can see your starting head, natural increase as mentioned, purchase, casualties, sold, closing head. So just one really nice report to see what's been happening on your property over time. With those categories or classes that I touched on before, so for example, your Angus cows, you can then see your wets here, for example, if you like to categorize your wets or your dries over time. This is a really nice way that those categories and classes will come into play with this report. A few other things I'll touch on quickly before I open up to any questions. Mobble does have an integration with AgWorld. And so if you did have an AgWorld account, what you can do is go into your settings here if you are the account owner, select integrations, and this AgWorld option will pop up here as well, where you can click connect. I am not the property owner for this property that I'm demoing on today, but this would just open up an AgWorld page to use your AgWorld login. And then you have the ability to see your Mobble mobs or livestock and information on your AgWorld account. In terms of other integrations that we are currently working on, so we are in discussions with FarmBot or RanchBot, depending on what part of the world you are in. And we'll provide any update on that as we work through it, but we are also having other conversations as well around individual management and where we can take Mobble in the future. But if there is a specific company that you would like to see an integration with, again, please don't hesitate to reach out to us as we're all ears to see how we can continue to add value with Mobble. I'll stop for a moment and just open up and see if we have any questions on the product itself, or if there's anything anyone would like me to clarify. I know I did probably move through quite quickly in a lot of those details. So if you have any questions, please do ask now.
Sam, that was really great. And I know you're struggling with a bit of sickness today. You're nailing it. We have a question from John, and John, feel free to unmute if you'd like. But his question is, if I feed a mob rather than a paddock, how do I report how much feed has been applied to each paddock or vice versa? And he continues because he says, because feed action type can be used with a paddock as well as with a mob.
Yes, that is correct. You can do feed action to a paddock and a mob. That will stay, so that bit of data and history will stay either with the mob or the paddock based on how you're entering that data. So for example, what I've just done here is if I'm selecting, sorry, Katie's paddock, so I probably jumped a bit quickly then, and I select add task, and then I'm feeding, oh, sorry, not add task, paddock action is what I meant to say, sorry. and then I'm feeding to this exact paddock, that will stay in that paddock records, but it won't go with the mob. Whereas if I was adding that feed action to that mob instead of the paddock, so Carly's paddock probably would have been a better example, sorry. But if I added it to that mob, then that feed action would stay with that mob ongoing. It doesn't get split between the two, if that makes sense. It just stays with either the field or the paddock or the mob.
Yeah, okay. That's clear. Thanks. I was hoping there might be a way to link the two, because it's important for us to record where the feed's gone as well from a fertility perspective. So at the moment we do the feed action on the paddock, so then we've got a record of what fertility's gone back to the paddock, and then we just have to look at where the mobs were over
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
We can, Maddie will make a note of that and we'll log that with the developers as how we can potentially explore that to link it if people would like the option to do so.
Yeah, well, we kind of, yeah, it'd be nice if there was a report that did what we're doing offline to just kind of cross-reference the two. We know that such and such a mob is in a paddock for this grazing period, whatever.
Yeah, we'll make a note of that, and then we'll come back to you with any updates on that. We also know that we do get asked quite a little bit around, some more reports and things on feed two, particularly at the moment being so dry. So our developers are aware of that as well, and we're trying to really tighten that up because we know that's quite important for people too.
Yep, no worries. Thanks.
No worries. Thanks, John. Any other questions from anyone?
Sam, we have a question from Greg. Greg, feel free to unmute yourself. I'll just ask the question on your behalf. When backdating mob moves, Mobble won't let me move a mob in straight after I've moved another mob out. This has happened since the update of the days empty since stock removed, so the backdating and updating days grazed and rested.
Yeah, that's a good question, Greg. Just to give some context for everyone else on the call. So a couple of weeks ago, we released a new feature where you don't have to move a mob on Mobble the exact same day that you currently move it, I guess, on your farming business. So historically, if you didn't update the mob movement today, then your days rested and days grazed counters, these counters here on the paddocks, wouldn't be backdated. They would only update from when you move it on the Mobble web app or phone app. If that's clear for everyone, I'm not sure I explained that well enough. But what we did was a couple of weeks ago released a feature where you can now backdate a mob move within the last 2 weeks prior, and these days rested or days grazed counters will now update to be shown that historical record. So if I added a mob right now, so for example, this mob down here, these cows, and I dragged it up to Katie's paddock, because you can click and drag off the map, sorry. If I click this advanced move options and I select a date, 2 days in the past, so I'll go Monday last week, click move mob. And now when I select Katie's paddock, that now says 7 days grazed, whereas historically it would just show 0 days as the date being moved today. So in regards to your question, sorry. So we have asked our developers to sort of explain this one a little bit more to us because it shouldn't update with moving a mob in and out at the moment. So if you're moving a mob out and then you're moving a mob in on the same day, for some reason that data is being blocked. A way to get around it is you can move the mob in on Mobble before the other mob comes out right now. But we are asking our developers to sort of work on that and tighten that up a little bit. There have been another couple of examples where the days rested and grazed counters haven't been accurately updating or probably more representative to what's happening on property. So we have logged that with our developers as well, and we'll come back with a bit more of a solution because you obviously want to be able to move your mob out first today and then add one in after. But for the time being, you should be able to add the other one in and then move the first one out, if that makes sense. I hope it's clear enough. But we'll come back to you on that specifically because Maddie did ask me about that earlier this morning.
We've got a question from BJ Wolf. Is there any ability to be a days since sheep has been in the paddock rather than just a days rested or days grazed to help prepare clean paddocks for worms? So yeah, so if you have 2 different types of stock in the paddock, can you track whether one's been rested more?
On your days rested and days grazed counters, no, because they're on a paddock basis. So how long the stock's been in the paddock versus a specific mob in that paddock, if that makes sense. So these counters are just based on any stock, not a specific mob for the time being. But again, if you would like to, we can log that as a bit of feedback and come back to you on that in the future. Any other questions?
Any more questions? Yeah, pop them in.
Just while we wait to see if there's any more questions. So for our webinar next month, we will be having FarmBot join the webinar, or FarmBot or RanchBot, depending on what country you are in. So we will be doing a similar Mobble demo from our perspective, but also getting them to do a run through of their software and their functionalities too. So as I mentioned earlier, we are looking at an integration with FarmBot or RanchBot at the moment, and we're currently working through that. We don't have timelines exactly for that, but we are working through it. So that webinar, if you are in Australia or New Zealand, will be Tuesday, the 1st of July at 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time or 10 a.m. New Zealand time. But if you are in the US or Canada, or on the other side of the world, essentially, that will be Monday, the 30th of June. So 4 p.m. Mountain Time or 5 p.m. Central. But again, we will provide more details around that webinar as it gets closer. So don't feel the need to write those details down now. We will send out more reminders as it gets closer.
I just dropped in the link for the registration for that webinar. Thanks, Sam. Vicky has asked a question, and Vicky, I might see if you can come off mute just to clarify if needed. She asks, is there any update on the mob moves for newly purchased cattle? As in, I can't move a mob on the right date if I haven't entered it on the actual date that I purchased it.
Yes, Vicky, this is a great question, and I believe
Sorry, Sam, it's Emma here. I've
Oh.
spoken to you about it. It's just coming up as Vicky's iPad, but yes.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Emma. Yeah, I was thinking
That's
that
okay.
this might have been you.
Yeah.
I don't have a timeline for you at the moment, but the developers are working on this. We have identified that is definitely a limitation in the current ways of backdating data. So just quickly, context for everyone else on the call. When you add a new mob into Mobble, so say, for example, I am updating the record in Mobble as adding it today, but the reality is I purchased it a week ago. I can't add that I purchased it a week ago and then move that backdated data as a week ago. There's a limitation in there based on when you're adding the new stock to your property and then backdating that. So I don't know if it's it I guess relates to everyone. I know, Emma, I spoke to you about this, and it's a bit challenging with the way your business works, but our recommendation is always to add the data in as it happens live. So if you're purchasing a mob today, add those records today. We understand that is not possible with everyone's business, but yeah, Emma, sorry, I don't have a timeline for you at the moment, but our developers are definitely working on that because it is a limitation in our back end. But yeah, I do apologize for that specific case, but yes, again, rest assured we are working through that.
That looks to be it for questions, but anyone can always, our phone number's on the website, and you can email us at hello@mobble.io. We will put this webinar up on YouTube if anyone wants to rewatch it, and we'll send you all a link as well. Sam, thank you for an amazing demonstration. That was great.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Maddie. And thanks everyone for joining. And again, if you have any questions, please send them through. But otherwise, enjoy your afternoon and hopefully see you next month. Thanks, everyone.